You're looking at what is now a viral image of an alleged ballot allegedly received by an OFW voter in New Zealand. The supposed ballot does not have the name and candidate number of presidential bet Lenny Robredo, but the Comelec is saying this picture has been doctored.
While the legitimacy of that photo is in question, one valid issue is getting voters concerned. Some of those who check their precincts online to monitor their status found out that they have no records in the precinct finder, while other accounts were deactivated even if they voted in previous elections. Time for today's biggest headlines. I'm Gretchen Ho.
I'm Robbie Alampa. You're watching The Big Story. 2 weeks before the polls, and yet the Comelec is still being flooded with complaints on voter status.
Add to that the usual hiccups on the Commission's Precinct Finder website. Greg Gregorio has the big story.
Comelec has activated their online precinct finder around 2 weeks before the elections. But since its launch, Comelec received tons of complaints from users. This includes Elmer. He endured long lines last September just to have his registration records transferred from Northern Samar. But upon checking the website, he got a no record found notification on the screen. He was confident that he will not encounter such problem as he was able to vote during the 2018 and 2019 elections.
Sabi ko, okay, sige, baka ako nagkamali ng record ng pagkalagay. So I tried, nilagay ko ang suffix ko after my last name. And wala ulit record. Kasi ngayon, ang hassle sa akin is hindi ko alam kung saan ko nailagay yung stub na binigay ng Comelec.
Others were also surprised when they found out that they were deactivated.
Nakaboto ako nung 2016 So even if hindi ako nakaboto nung 2019, dapat active pa rin yung status nung voters registration ko.
In an interview with Radyo 5, Comelec Commissioner George Garcia clarifies that barangay elections also count. Last March, Comelec deactivated 7.2 million voters.
Alam niyo po, ang dami rin po nagkamali. Hindi po nila napafactor in, Sir Lloyd, ang 2018 barangay election. Dahil regular election siya, kung hindi ka nakaboto noong 2018, hindi ka po nakaboto ng 2019. Kahit nakaboto ka ng 2016, matatanggal po yung pangalan, madi-deactivate.
Garcia assures voters that they are still adjusting the system. Aside from this, they will also distribute voters' information sheet which would contain their polling place and precinct, as well as do's and don'ts in the elections. For News 5, Greg Gregorio, we are One News.
What should voters do if they can't find their names on the precinct finder? That big question and more with Comelec spokesman James Jimenez. Mr. Jimenez, welcome to The Big Story.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Sir, we have 2 weeks left. Okay, so bottom line, kung hindi nila makita yung pangalan sa precinct finder, what should they do?
Well, ang unang-unang gagawin nila, dapat pupunta sila sa office ng election officer doon sa city or municipality kung saan sila supposedly nakarehistro. Dahil nakikita nga natin na kuminsan hindi lang siya show up sa precinct finder, pero actually either nasa listahan talaga or meron silang hindi nagagawang tama, no? For example, sabi ng isang case study nyo na inisip niya baka mali yung pagkakatype niya ng pangalan, no? And then there's the other one, sure siya na makakaboto siya, pero again, as you pointed out, na-miss niya naman yung barangay elections. All of these questions can get clarified for you at the office of the election officer.
Okay.
Nandun kasi yung list din natin eh.
Okay, so far the options are you try to find it on precinct finder. Kung wala, you physically go. Wala bang ibang option? Can't they call a hotline somewhere?
Well, wala tayong hotline na phone line, no? Meron tayong email address na pwede nilang sulatan para ibigay yung kanilang full name, date of birth, and the city or municipality where they're registered. Pwede po silang sumulat sa voter verifier at comelec.gov.ph. Ulitin ko lang, sir, voter verifier at comelec.gov.ph.
Okay, now in the meantime, the premise here is hindi lumabas yung pangalan mo sa precinct finder, sa website. Pero hopefully, magpunta ka sa Comelec, sasabihin, nandito pala, activated pala. So there's something wrong with the database. It's not synced. What's going on there?
Well, the problem with the database kasi is that it's not really very specific to a person anymore. No? So, nagkakaroon ng possibility ng mga multiple records kasi magkakapareho pangalan. Dati kasi, that was very specific. Dati may birthday yan, date of birth. Tinanggal natin yung date of birth na field for security reasons. No? Because of the Data Privacy Act and so on. Tinanggal na natin, hindi mo na pwedeng indicate yung birthday mo. So, you're basically just your name and the place where you're registered. What if you have more, like two people with the same name, right? How does the precinct finder distinguish? It cannot. So kailangan mo i-verify doon sa office ng election officer. We're working on that, again, because the removal of the date of birth field is a data privacy requirement. So we're trying to find ways to make it work even without that.
Okay, Director Jimenez, maraming salamat po. That was Comelec spokesperson James Jimenez. Let's circle back to our big story. An overseas absentee voter in New Zealand posted a supposed photo of an election ballot, supposedly showing that the number and name of presidential candidate Leni Robredo was missing. Gretch, what's the latest on this?
Robbie, the Philippine Embassy in Wellington, New Zealand, in fact said that they have not received reports of election ballots missing a candidate and has even called on voters to return the ballots instead of just posting it online. Now, this comes after several posts on social media claim that presidential candidate Vice President Leni Robredo's name was excluded from the ballot. In an interview with Radyo 5, meanwhile, Comelec Commissioner George Garcia dismissed the circulating online post and said that it was fake news. The poll body also said that they are already tracking the person responsible for the post.
Po ay isang walang katotohanang bagay. Dapat po may 1,000 kababayan natin na nasa New Zealand ang magsasabi na walang pangalan yung kanilang ng kandidato yung kanilang balota. So imposible pong mangyari yun sapagkat isang buong series po yung pong ini-issue na balota natin.
These are the other big stories tonight. As the elections draw near, Comelec scratches its town hall debate format and will now opt for a panel interview of the candidates. The poll body is also looking into possible liabilities of its officials over the unsettled juice of contractor Impact Hub. Meanwhile, more backers of Manila Mayor Moreno are switching sides. The latest is a faction of Partido Federal ng Pilipinas, which is now rallying behind the presidential bid of Vice President Leni Robredo. And 2 weeks away from the elections, papunta pa lang tayo sa exciting part. A look at how that viral line is now playing into the May 9 polls after the break.
still watching The Big Story. I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. Political groups originally backing the presidential bid of Isko Moreno are switching to Vice President Leni Robredo.
Manila City Mayor Isko Moreno, however, says he remains unbothered by the change in allegiance. He continues his campaign in Western Visayas. Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez has this report.
2 weeks before the May polls, presidential candidate Mayor Isko Moreno seems to be losing more backers. This as more groups and key officials have made a switch from him to Vice President Leni Robredo. The latest is Maguindanao 2nd District Representative Toto Mangudadatu.
I fully support and understand him. That's how you understand your people. People change their mind. And in the likes of what we're doing right now. O baka magbago ang isip ng iba.
Mangudadatu is running for governor under the United Bangsamoro Justice Party of the MILF, which in historical first endorsed the vice president. Aside from this, another political party, a faction of the Partido Federal ng Pilipinas led by Abu Bakar Mangelen, shifted support, to which Moreno responded amicably.
Thank you lang. Basta again, diretso sa tao. Tao ang boboto.
Amid political shifts, Moreno went on with their campaign in vote-rich Western Visayas, home to over 5 million registered voters. With him is running mate Doc Willie Ong and his senatorial slate. Here, Moreno once again brought up his Visayan roots, with his father hailing from Antique and mother from Northern Samar.
Ako lang yung kandidato nilang may dugong Ilonggo. For the first time, o at least may kandidato sila na pwede nilang samahan.
After this, the camp will head to the Binirayan Stadium and cap off the day with a grand campaign rally. On the Comelec's debate-turned-panel interview, meanwhile, Moreno said he will attend as long as his schedule allows. Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez, We Are One News.
Meanwhile, other presidential candidates are making the most of the remaining campaign days. Presidential candidate Ping Lacson headed to Tarlac, where he maintained that he came across a video message from CPP founder Joma Sison supposedly endorsing the Leni Kiko tandem. Both Robredo's camp and Sison have had debunked the claims that Sison is Robredo's advisor. Lacson also returns to rival Marcos Jr.'s bailiwick, Pangasinan. Tomorrow, the camp will be visiting 4 more provinces in the north. Vice President Leni Robredo, meanwhile, returns to Nueva Ecija to hold their camp's first meeting de avance. This is Robredo's second time in the province, but her first time meeting with sectoral groups. In a radio interview, her spokesperson, attorney Barry Gutierrez, addressed the alleged link between Sison and Robredo, saying that these black ops are just lies, but at the same time proof that their campaign continues to gain momentum. Tonight, the Leni Kiko tandem is set to hold their first meeting de avance in Gapan. No sorties today for presidential candidate Manny Pacquiao and Ferdinand Marcos Jr., but in a statement, Pacquiao calls for Comelec to give them another chance to bear their platforms, and this is after the poll body had reformatted the last installment of its debate series.
The postponed Comelec presidential and vice presidential debates have now been scratched. The poll body will instead hold a panel interview for presidential and vice presidential candidates. Greg Gregorio with the details.
Just days after the presidential and vice presidential town hall debates were moved to April 30 and May 1 over payment issues, the Comelec has now announced that it's foregoing the debate format in the final leg of its series.
Base sa pakikipagpulong namin kagabi sa kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas, na-realize po kasi namin na maaari at base sa suggestion din ng kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas na maaari hindi makadalo ang karamihan sa mga kandidato.
A candidates forum will instead be taped and will be aired from May 2 to 6. According to Garcia, candidates could choose if they prefer a face-to-face interview via virtual platform or a hybrid setup.
Bukas po ilalabas namin yung pong guidelines sapagkat dinadrap na po namin ito at hopefully po by Miyerkules sa Wednesday ma-approve na po ng Comelec.
Recall that the last leg of the debate series was postponed after contractor Impact Hub Manila reportedly failed to settle its 14 million peso due with Sofitel Hotel. Comelec clarified that they have no part in the deal and that it's now probing the matter.
Paano sila nakapasok sa Commission on Election? Paano sila na-consider? Ito ba ay ito ba ay dumaan sa tinatawag na competitive process para sa procurement?
But some Comelec officials may be liable. In response to a memorandum released last Friday, 14 departments have submitted their explanation to Commissioner Ray Bulay. That's after Bulay found out that a purchase order for a 15 million peso counterpart money was made by the Education and Information Department despite the law's prohibition. Bulay also found out that Director James Jimenez knew about Impact Hub's dishonored post-dated checks and yet guaranteed in favor of Impact Hub Manila.
Karamihan sa binibintang sa amin ay yung transparency, kaya ito very transparent. Ako sa inyo, no? Ang promise ko sa mga kasama ko kay Chairman at saka sa mga commissioners, 1 week lang. Kung may awa ang Diyos at saka magkakaroon ako ng full cooperation.
Bulay hopes to release their findings by Friday. Bulay assured that everyone will be given due process, that this will not affect in any way the preparations for the upcoming polls. For News 5, Greg Gregorio, we are One News.
In world news, Emmanuel Macron has won France's presidential election, becoming the first sitting president in 20 years to be re-elected. French polling firms say Macron took over 58% of the votes in the second round runoff on Sunday. Macron fended off a historic challenge from far-right candidate Marine Le Pen. In his victory speech, Macron vowed to be the president for each and everyone. Macron added that his second term would not be a continuation of his first. He committed to address all of France's current problems.
Time for another quick break. When we return, government has started rolling out its second booster dose for the immunocompromised on Monday. Some vaccination sites will allow individuals to walk in. Meanwhile, gas prices will see another big-time price hike, with diesel set to go up by as much as 4 pesos on Tuesday. Minsan sa pelikula, minsan sa politika. How netizens on TikTok are using the now famous line, "Papunta pa lang tayo sa exciting part," to bolster support for their presidential candidate. These big stories after the break.
still watching The Big Story. I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Ho.
The Health Department has started rolling out the second booster shots against COVID-19 for immunocompromised adults as vaccine booster shots are starting to wane.
Experts brace for a surge in COVID cases mid-May as the number of Filipinos have yet to receive their third shot. Laila Panghilinan with the story.
4 vaccination sites officially began administering second boosters for immunocompromised individuals aged 18 and up. The Philippine Children's Medical Center, Tala Hospital, Valenzuela Medical Center, and the Sembo Health Center in Makati City all rolled out the shots today.
You have waning immunity 6 to 8 months after your last dose. So yun lang po, we're protecting them more because they will be more at risk of adverse or hospitalization and deaths.
Other hospitals and LGUs will follow suit after other priority groups are done. In the PCMC, up to 1,400 immunocompromised individuals are set to receive Pfizer shots as their second booster. Walk-ins are welcome as long as they fit the priority group and bring their medical certificate. Their last vaccination should also be at least 3 months ago.
It will be better for immunocompromised adults to receive a heterologous vaccine. Pero hindi naman namin dinidiscourage, pwede pa rin yung tanggapin.
Radiology technician Noel, who is a thyroid cancer survivor, was one of the few employees who didn't hesitate to get the second booster.
Kasi pamilya kami na may cancer eh. Yung bunso namin ngayon nag-ano siya ngayon ng radiation therapy naman sa lung center. Meron siyang breast cancer.
Over at the Valenzuela Medical Center, 600 doses of Pfizer shots are available. However, a bit of confusion ensued when even non-immunocompromised people lined up.
Sa totoo lang po, marami rin talagang mga empleyado natin ang gusto na pong magpabakuna. Uunahin po natin, as per Department Memorandum, ang mga healthcare workers na immunocompromised.
The DOH is looking to inoculate up to 249,000 people in Metro Manila under this high-risk priority group. This week alone, the agency is expecting 7,000 to 13,000 individuals to get vaccinated. But the challenge of getting people to get boosters remains, as only 12 million have gotten the extra shot. The agency also assured that supply won't be an issue. Aside from Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Moderna, Sinopharm, and Sinovac have all been approved for rollout under this priority group. For News 5, Laila Pangilinan. We are One News.
Another substantial oil price hike awaits motorists on Tuesday. Most major oil firms will raise the price of diesel by as much as 4 pesos per liter on Tuesday, while gasoline will be more expensive by 3 pesos per liter. Meanwhile, a liter of kerosene will cost 3 pesos more. The surge in fuel costs is still due to the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine and the easing of lockdowns in Shanghai. As of Monday, the cost of gasoline ranged from 74 to 87 pesos per liter. Diesel was at 63 to 66 pesos a liter. And papunta pa lang tayo sa exciting part. That line from the TV series Broken Marriage Vow, made famous by actress Jody Santa Maria, is now a meme on TikTok.
The phrase has not only been used to parody the actual scene, but also to add context to the ever so nearing election day. The phrase has made rounds on different social media platforms, but none more popular than TikTok. There, TikTok star AC Soriano parodied the lines and the scene of Santa Maria's role in the teleserye, while adding an EDM remix twist to it.
But it's not just the parodies, as several netizens have also used the line to emphasize just how close we are to Election Day. Even Jody Santa Maria had to chime in with the banter, showing off her support for Vice President Leni Robredo.
Papunta pa lang tayo sa exciting part. Your daughter sleeping with my husband. 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 Nabuntis ni David ang anak ninyo at pumunta siya ng Amerika para ipa-abort ang bata.
Grabe, lapit na. 14 days na lang.
Oo nga, papunta pa lang tayo sa exciting part. Pero ito, mahalaga in the message of the Comelec, basically first, don't panic. Di ba? One, if you can't get into the precinct finder or if you can't find your name or if something's wrong, you still have options. Go. There are numbers on the Comelec website that you can call, particularly for your city, wherever you're living. And then you can also visit your local election office and check there.
Well, better to do it now than cram. And also, of course, to research now on your candidates kung di nyo pa alam. Siyempre, hindi lang presidente yung ating iboboto, pati yung local candidates natin, yung mga parties natin. Alamin na natin kung sino para pagdating doon, smooth sailing na lahat. Well, that wraps up today's Big Story. Catch us again tomorrow at 8 p.m. on Signal Channels 8 and 250.
Please like our Facebook page, One News. For more in-depth analysis, visit our webpage, onenews.ph. Mask on.
Wash hands.
And stay vaccinated, Philippines. I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. We are One News. Have a good evening.